Thanks for tuning in. I'm Whitney Van. Coming up today on Weekends with Whitney, the afterlife, how this couple connected to their son who was murdered through a Baton Rouge psychic medium. Before you say, no way, see the story unfold.
I don't believe in coincidences anymore because I really do believe God lines up people that need to be in your life. And she just came at a point that I needed her.
Then, keeping the beat of Jeff Nola alive. How for 7 years this group of friends has created a living legacy. But first, death is one of the most difficult and questioned things about life. But now, more people than ever are getting those questions answered and their hearts healed in an unconventional way. Meet the Baton Rouge couple who say it saved their sanity and their lives. What is life after death? Where do our loved ones go? And can we connect? Agonizing questions Jane and Daryl Boudreau needed answered after the brutal murder of their 26-year-old son, Kai.
It was horrible. I experienced my dad dying of cancer, and that was pretty bad, but this was nothing like that. I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't stop crying. I couldn't talk to anyone without crying.
I wouldn't give it a analytical, and I wanted to know exactly what happened.
I actually thought I was dying. Physically, I thought I was dying. I didn't know how I was going to get over this.
They met repeatedly with their priest, spent months in counseling, but it didn't extinguish their anguish or stifle their suffering.
She was in bed for three months crying.
However, a little light in their darkness appeared when they felt and saw a few signs Kai was near. The first happened to their other son, Cade.
He felt like Kai hugged him. He couldn't breathe. He was like something had squeezed him so tight, but then he heard him say, Cade. He heard him say in his ear, Cade, 3 times. And he knew, and Cade's kind of skeptical.
The second sign was dragonflies.
I went outside, I was in my nightgown because I stayed in my nightgown for the longest time. And I mean, as soon as I opened the door, it was like, I don't want to say 1,000 dragonflies, but it was many dragonflies all around me.
Mysterious orbs appeared at their home and at their fishing camp, where Kai was killed.
But we didn't know about orbs until he started showing up at the camp with orbs. I mean, I would see orbs all the time, especially on my deer camera, which is infrared. It doesn't have a flash, and there'd be orbs dancing around and with the deer.
Then a friend told Jane about Stacy Hilton, a spiritual psychic medium in Baton Rouge. Daryl encouraged Jane to schedule a reading. However, a few discouraged it.
It really didn't matter what other people thought because I had to do what I needed to do. I don't believe in coincidences anymore because I really do believe God lines up people that need to be in your life. And she just came at a point that I needed her.
Stacy remembers the day Jane and Kai first came to see her.
I remember how strong he was, how he came through. When someone has lost a child, no matter what the age is, that child is really, really gung-ho about coming through and making sure I get details, like little details, things that nobody knows that can validate their presence, you know. It's like the one thing that a parent wants to know or hear is, it's as simple as knowing they're okay. I just want to speak to them one last time.
Jane was blown away.
When I left there, I really felt like I was a changed person. I felt like so much of a relief. She told me things that were so only Kai would know, or that I experienced from Kai that no one else would know, and it wasn't on the news. So it was a big help for me.
Stacy asked Kai what signs he was sending.
That's something I always ask in a reading to someone's deceased loved one is, what do you do to let them know you're around? Because everybody wants to know that, you know. And he showed me dragonflies, smiley faces, and hearts. The way he has shown them signs is profound.
Jane says Kai's signs started popping up all over. A month later, Daryl popped in to see Stacy.
He picked me up and swung me around. He said, thank you, he's crying, thank you for giving me my wife back.
Kai's signs started small, then got huge. Jane's first heart was on a roll.
I had a roll that I picked out of the bag, and it had this perfect little heart. And I ran in the den, and they were watching TV. Daryl and Cade were watching TV, and I'm like, look, look. They weren't too impressed, you know, they kind of blew me off.
Then the next day, Daryl came running.
He goes, look, look, I have this chip, and in the center of the potato chip is a heart. And I'm like, you see, you believe me now?
First potato chip I took out, there's a perfect heart cut.
When Daryl was in the hospital,
They had to change the IV, and I'm holding my arm up, and they tried right here and they missed. I'm holding the gauze and I pulled them, and on my gown, perfectly shaped heart.
but what Kai's horse Romeo did blew everyone away.
Smiley face and a hay bale. And then when we went there to see it, actually he stuck his head in and was eating the other side. He making a happy face on the other side, and jumping around and, you know, more to make sure we saw his hay bale.
It happened on the very day, just 1 year before, that Kai was killed.
You know how I get these hearts from Kai? Well, when the horse had his head in the bale of hay, the eyes, I want you to look at that picture because the eyes are hearts. So it was definitely a sign of happiness because Kai was happy. I feel Kai was happy, he's in a good place, and Romeo was happy, and it was a win-win for all of us.
Kai started showing up on camera too.
You know, I didn't know what orbs were. And when he died, we were getting these like streaks of lights in the pictures. And when I was telling Stacy, I said, I think Kai's in my classroom. And she said, well, he is. She said he was helping a kid carry something messy the other day. And she didn't know about that picture. You can see the light is right on the hand like he was helping him. Strange, I know, but it's true. You can't deny it.
If you're watching this at home feeling skeptical, you're perfectly normal. For decades, Stacy was terrified by all of this too.
This is something that has been a part of my life, my entire life, and I was terrified of it. And I thought, oh, it's wrong, don't conjure spirits. I'm like, I've never conjured one in my life. But, you know, I don't conjure them. They're there, they've always been there. I was terrified of them, thought that they were harmful. And what I've realized over time is, I think it was one of the first readings I ever did, in fact, was with a nun. And it was a priest that came through that had passed that was giving me permission, not permission, but saying it's okay. It's okay to be who you are. It's okay to do this work. And this was a very close friend of the nun who then said, oh my gosh, you know, it's beautiful, it's healing, and it was somebody that she desperately missed. And I thought to myself after that, how is that evil? You know, it's not. And so it took me a while to become accepting of myself.
Not accepting it led to a decade of depression.
I didn't understand it. I was on medication for years, and I know the first thing I noticed when I embraced it is I didn't feel depressed anymore. It was gone. Haven't been on medication in over 10 years. I feel like, you know, I'm very humble in this work because I feel like it saved me. I feel just as grateful as as Jane and Daryl. You know, it's just as important to me.
Another eye-opener for Stacy came after her parents' house flooded in the historic 2016 flood. Her mom found an old plastic bin in the attic.
It was childhood stories from school, and you know, we write stories, and they had a flyer the teacher would send home to the kids. And all of the stories that other kids would write would be like, oh, I went outside and I saw these beautiful butterflies, and my story would be, oh, I counted to 10 before I could run through the doorway to get through the spirit standing in the door to get to my sister's bedroom. It was story after story, and it really hit me, oh my gosh, I've never known any different.
Jane says she knows connecting to those on the other side isn't witchcraft like some fear.
She's a Christian. You know, I was really scared. She wasn't a witch. She was blonde hair, blue eyes. She didn't have black fingernails. She didn't wear a cape. The first thing I saw was the Blessed Mother. She had a statue, she had the rosary, and so I felt safe. And this is a gift from God. You know, you can't deny it. She has a very powerful responsibility, and she uses it for good things.
Kai's become one of Stacy's favorites.
I know I shouldn't have favorites, but you know, it's just like with people, you're drawn to some, and I think it's because he makes himself so present at times, and I think the biggest thing is because of how much he loves them. It's just stunning to me. You know, it's like we love in life, but man, from the afterlife, it's a whole different level. It's just beautiful.
The burning question for those who've lost loved ones is, what were their final moments like on earth?
When I'm doing a reading, I can feel everybody's energy. So it's not just visual for me, I feel it. So I'm in the scene and can feel the reaction and can feel what a spirit, what that person, like what Kai felt like. I think that's one of the most important parts of a reading, in fact, is what did they go through? Were they scared? Did he pass right away?
Yeah, they suffer.
Did he suffer? Did he lay there wanting his parents, you know? Because especially when it's tragic like that, you don't know. And so I think that's a huge part of why I love doing what I do, because I'm able to answer those questions. And I know he didn't suffer. So I know he didn't. I didn't even feel fear.
Receiving answers requires prep work on Stacy's end.
I do a cleansing process. I have my own routine, balancing my energy field and cutting cords and centering in, and I do a lot of meditation and prayer, and you know, so that's usually a good hour I spend meditating, you know, centering in. And then because my central nervous system has to be very slow. I have to be in a really calm state to really connect.
Okay.
And then, and I leave time between each one to ground outside, kind of ground my energy. And then, so I can't do more than 3 a day.
It's exhausting and exhilarating work.
I'm so moved by what I got to experience with people. It's moving, you know, it's amazing. That's the days I say, why me? Like, how did I get to do this?
Yeah.
You know, when for so many years I used to ask, why me?
In a bad way.
As in, why did this happen to me? And I don't look at it like that. I just literally say, why, how, what did I do why are y'all working with me like this? Why are you allowing me to do this? This is so amazing.
Stacy's a psychic medium. Most aren't both.
Every medium's a psychic, because I don't think I could do a reading without being psychic, but not every psychic's a medium. So the difference is one is able to see future events, be able to tell you things that are going on in your life, which is the psychic part. The medium is the one that connects to the other side, to spirits. And I do both. In a reading I connect to spirits, and I also do life readings.
In life readings, she sees a blueprint. She says we all have one.
The blueprint is something that we all have. It looks like a map, and there's what is called the entrance point, which is birth. There, and then you have your exit points, which, you know, there's multiple ones. Most people will die at their designated point, but there's also some that can die at an earlier point. So say it's addiction, and someone has heavy addiction, and there's there's an exit point built in as a possibility, then that person, if they get clean or get sober, they can bypass it. Does that make sense? Like,
Sure. But if they overdose, then they didn't.
Then they died at that exit point. There's also exit points with suicide and murders, because those are free will choices. So those are just what I call timelines. Everything that's on a timeline is a possibility or probability.
Along everyone's journey, what we experience is for personal growth.
Well, we learn through love, loss, sorrow, pain, and despair. That's the 5 primary ways. When we're in heaven, which I call heaven the other side, we're in a blissful state for the most part. You know, once we do, if there's any healing that's needed, we go back into that blissful state. So we don't learn at an accelerated rate. And so we learn through love, loss, sorrow, pain, and despair here. You know, you think about when you're in joyful times, you're not growing or learning as much as when you've just been knocked down and are having to turn your life around, or like Jane and Daryl. Everything they knew to be true was ripped out from underneath them within an hour. And so they had to put the pieces back together without any instruction.
Daryl's always been a man of strong faith. Now it's strengthened even more.
God has been my Savior, my faith. I say you need three things in life, the three F's: family, friends, and faith. And faith is more important than any of the rest.
Kai's death has also taught him forgiveness.
I would go see Father Greg after Mass and say, man, I don't know if I can do this. I forgive the guy who murdered my son. He said, you're not ready yet. And I don't know what he was talking about. He said, you're not ready yet. And out the blue, at 3:13 in the morning, God woke me up. And God told me, you forgive his soul because his soul belongs to me. The rest of him is Satan. You don't have to forgive the rest of it. And I told that to Father Greg, and he goes, now you got it. Oh. He said, if I'd have told you that, I'd have been cheating you.
You know, it's sad. I never chose to be in this club of child loss, parents of child loss, but there's so many of them. You can go on, but if I didn't get the signs that I get, it would be very difficult. That's what is just the perk that I need. It comes at the right time, and he knows when I need it. I know that it's Kai. It helps me get through another day. It helps me get through another week. It helps me get through another month.
Jane's a walking testament to one of her favorite quotes. Even the darkest night will end, and the sun will rise.
And I am redeemed. You set me free.
If you're curious and you want to know more about it, there are weekly group sessions of about 25 people. If you'd like more information, log on to stacyhiltonmedium.com. And still ahead, see why this band gets together once a year and how they give opportunities to others to keep one man's legacy alive, as Weekends with Whitney continues.
Each morning in Baton Rouge, we rise to meet opportunity. We carry the weight of responsibility proudly. We choose our paths. We move fast and we fly high. We light the way for others to follow. We make it happen. But what really matters is what happens when we land at home. Baton Rouge Metropolitan Airport. Fly easy.
Atlas Foundation Repair, fixing your foundation problems for more than 30 years while preserving and protecting your trees.
You see that? That's a trash can. It's a special place where trash goes. Not here, not here, not here. Is that a diaper? You know, the best part about the special place called Trash Can is there's not just one. There are trash cans everywhere. I'm the human dislike button, and I believe in you. I believe in your ability to find a trash can. To learn more about me, go to breck.org/HDB.
Welcome back to Weekends with Whitney. It's difficult anytime we lose someone we love, but meet a group of friends who is turning their loss into a living legacy. This concert is much more than music. It's a celebration of the love and life of their friend and former drummer, Jeff Nola, a Catholic high graduate who returned to his alma mater to teach, guide, and mentor students until cancer took his life.
I met Jeff in second grade. He was my best friend. From second grade until he passed, he was my guy.
I started playing trumpet in the 4th grade. He started playing drums in the 4th grade. And we played in the marching band in high school and at LSU. Yeah, we kind of went through that coming of age together. What I noticed about it was funny. In high school, the band, it's a bunch of nerds. But when you get to college, especially at LSU, is that in college, all of a sudden people go from, oh, you're in the band to, you're in the band, right? And so you get a lot of nerds that all of a sudden have really big heads. That was not something I had to worry about with Jeff. He was a very humble guy.
Jeff's career was a concert of passions.
He taught English, he taught religion, and he was the band moderator too. And all of those things were very important to Jeff.
His role as student minister, head of student ministry at Catholic High, he really helped take that on, where those guys who were struggling, those guys who might not find their place, could always go to Jeff and talk. And he was always there to listen. He never had any preconceived, no judgment, just there being a guy to help them and got them on their spiritual path. And that was what his passion was.
Taking students on mission trips was a passion too.
He was the guy that was in the place he needed to be, teaching kids, bringing them along. He was the kind of guy that you wanted your children to meet.
Jeff's dad, Mike Nola, says it was on a student mission trip that Jeff was diagnosed with cancer.
He was up in the foothills of Kentucky, up at a little ranch with, I think he had 10 or 12 kids from Catholic. He'd driven a bus up. And he said, I just don't feel good. And so I said, try to get yourself into an outpatient clinic or something. And he goes in, call me back later. He called me about 3 hours later, and he said, they telling me I'm heavy internal bleeding. The next morning, they found out he had a stomach cancer. It was supposedly a treatable cancer. It's called Burkitt's lymphoma. Normally attacks kids, very aggressive.
Months of chemo knocked it into remission, but not for long.
He started having some issues with his legs, and he wound up, he was paralyzed. It got in his spine at the end.
I think that's what cancer does, right? It just lands on people for no reason at all.
All during his treatment, all during his thing, he said, Dad, I'm at peace with whatever happens. And I said, wow. And he said, no, I'm fine.
I've never met anybody who faced that as well as he did.
It's a state I think we all hope we'll get into in life, where we're at peace with ourselves, peace with the Lord, and we're ready.
He was married in 2010, and he died on his anniversary a year later. So yeah, it was really terrible.
Just hours after his funeral, Jeff's friends and fellow band members decided to put on a fundraising concert the following year to honor Jeff's passions. Andrew spearheaded the Barefoot Pedals Foundation.
We offer scholarships for people in student ministry and people in band. Rising juniors who are going in their senior year. First year we did Catholic High. Third year we actually opened it up to St. Joseph's Academy and St. Michael's. So we give 6 $1,000 scholarships every year. And with the support of everybody, we've been able to do some other amazing things. We're able to give over $10,000 to flood victims to provide mattresses for those guys. We were able to donate some sousaphones to the Struma High School marching band. We were able to give some money to the Terra marching band to allow them to have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity going to Normandy and performing in front of the French citizenry. So we've done some good things, and it's all because of the great guy that Jeff was.
So it really gives a connection to who Jeff was and what he thought was important.
In death, as in life, Jeff's beat goes on.
In that drum beat, we try to extend his legacy because he gave us a great beat to follow. And he's never the front man, but the band's not working without a good beat, and he provided that. And he gave us the beat, and we're following, and we're trying to bring it forward. The
beat goes on again next July at the Varsity.
Stay with us. More of Weekends with Whitney after this. Atlas Foundation Repair, fixing your foundation problems for more than 30 years while preserving and protecting your trees.
Thanks for sharing your time with us here on Weekends with Whitney. We hope to see you back here again next week. But until then, we leave you with this.